Hello and welcome back to another Euro Fantasy video. Today we are looking at the best wildcard team for Matchday 3, and mainly we're looking at how you can build the best wildcard team for yourself, and then I'll have my own draft at the end. Now if you've already watched the Limitless video, obviously this is going to be quite similar in terms of the graphics and stuff like that, but there is going to be a couple of changes which obviously will be more suited to the wildcard. So we're starting off with our fixtures, and again, as I said in the Limitless video, there is lots of decent fixtures to look at, and they're basically pretty spread over the different match days as well, barring the Monday where it's really only Spain that is a good fixture. So obviously we're looking at the green fixtures, the dark green fixtures, and the orange fixtures as well. Obviously the orange fixtures a bit less than the green ones, so we can take them away right there. And obviously with the wild cards, we don't have the unlimited budget that obviously the Limitless has got, so we do have to look more at the cheaper teams. So that's going to be the likes of your Romanias, your Slovakias, your Hungaries as well, and your Turkeys and stuff. Those kind of players are the ones that we are going to be wanting to get even one or two players from, just to obviously save some budget for those bigger hitters. And obviously a lot of these teams will be competing for qualification in match day 3 as well. So looking at the qualification then and all of the different groups, as I'm recording this, Group E hasn't fully played yet and Group F is yet to play as well. So basically Ukraine and Slovakia have had their games. We're still waiting on the Belgium and Romania score to figure out what the outcome will be for match day 3. And then we've got A, B, C and D basically wrapped up in terms of what needs to happen for match day 3. So really what we're looking at, the only team so far that has guaranteed their position is Spain, and there is definitely going to be some rotation with that Spanish team. But obviously with the wildcard, we do want to be looking more at the cheaper teams in order to save our budget, and look at obviously more of the expensive teams who have more easier fixtures. So looking at some of the cheaper teams, for example, looking at Group A, we've got Scotland and Hungary. Both teams must win in order to qualify. For Hungary, it is a bit more difficult. They're going to have to win by a couple of goals, which on paper you would think that could be very, very nice for fantasy. Obviously the likes of Soboslai, who's on all the set pieces for Hungary. If Hungary are going to have to go out and score 2 or 3 goals, you would imagine that he would be involved in some of that as well. Obviously with Scotland, must win as well. A win would take them through to the knockout stage. So again, you're going to be looking at the likes of McTominay, McGinn and stuff as well. And then we're looking at Group B. The only team really here, I guess Croatia you could kind of consider, but they do have a few expensive players. But Albania, probably one that I would probably leave out, just in case as well, because it is obviously playing against Spain, one of the better looking teams in the tournament, and there isn't a lot of massive Albania fantasy assets this season as well. Group C is where every team basically must win. Obviously England, we're going to want like Kane and stuff, which is why we are going for the cheaper players on that wild card. So our cheaper players are going to come from Denmark, they're going to come from Slovenia and Serbia as well. 3 teams that must win in order to guarantee qualification, and again lots of good players which we're going to look at in a minute from each of those teams. Then Group D, Poland are the first team eliminated from the tournament, so we aren't going to want any Poland players. Not that I don't think there really was too many good options from Poland, but they're eliminated, nothing to play for in match day 3. Austria is going to be the one that we're looking at in terms of budget players, as they need at least a draw against Netherlands to guarantee qualification. So again, as I was saying, looking at those teams, we do have a couple of my favourite picks from here. Obviously we can't really look at the likes of Romania and stuff yet, Czech Republic and Turkey, because they haven't played their second game, so we don't know if they are going to be guaranteed qualification. Obviously we're going to get more information on that as the days go by. So looking at the teams so far that do really need their win in match day 3, we've got Scotland, we've got Hungary, Denmark, Serbia, Croatia, Albania and Slovenia, and I've picked out a couple of players that I like from each of those teams. So as I mentioned, McTominay and McGinn, the 2 standouts for Scotland, and Soboslai, and I've got Orban in there as well for Hungary. While I don't think Hungary are going to keep a clean sheet, I mentioned this in the Limitless video, I don't think there's going to be really any clean sheets or many clean sheets at all heading into match day 3. Obviously there's not been that many in general in match day 1 and 2, but match day 3 is where teams are going to need goals, teams are going to need to qualify, teams are going to need wins and points. So I really don't think there is going to be too many clean sheets going on. So when we're looking at the defenders, when we're looking at the cheap defenders, we want to make sure we're getting ball recoveries, and Willie Orban looks fantastic for that. So I think even though there's not going to be too many clean sheets, you want to be getting those guys for ball recoveries, and Willie Orban looks like a really good option for that. From Denmark, we've got Eriksson, again, scored in match day 1 and on most of the set pieces on penalties as well. Looks like a good option against Serbia in a game, obviously, that Denmark must win. Højbjerg, another one that obviously picked up man of the match in match day 2 as well. And I think it was 8 ball recoveries he got, so just 1 away from 3 extra points as well, and that would have been a big haul from him. Someone, again, I mentioned in previous videos before the tournament started that he would be a really nice option. Then we've got Christensen as well, 1 million cheaper than Mealy is, and he's had a really good tournament so far. He started both games, whereas Mealy hasn't, and I think for that, saving that 1 million, I think he looks like probably a better option than Mealy does. Then for Serbia, not really too many good options there against Denmark. I think it is one of the obviously more difficult fixtures from the must-win games. Got Mitrovic in there as well, someone who's very unlucky not to have a big haul in match day 2, and probably is the standout option for Serbia. Looking at Croatia, a couple of picks. We've got Sotalo, again, someone who looks brilliant for ball recoveries. He picked up a ton in match day 2 after picking up quite a few in match day 1 as well. He's 5 million. We've got Kramaric, who picked up a goal. Then we've obviously got Modric as well. I think if there's any game where Croatia is needing a top form Modric, it's going to be this game against Italy, because it is a must win game if they want to make it out of the group. And if anyone is going to be putting on their best performance, it's going to be Luka Modric, again, someone who is going to be on penalties as well. Albania, as I said, I don't really think there's too many options. If I was to pick one, it would be Bajrami, but he's a 6 million midfielder, and I think there probably is a bit better options elsewhere. The likes of Højbjerg is 0.5 cheaper than Bajrami is, so I probably wouldn't look there. But if you really wanted an Albania player, he's probably the guy I'd go for. Then Slovenia as well, we've got Karničnik. Again, big haul from him in match day 2. I did mention him in I think it was the previous wildcard video, it was the team selection video when we were talking about the ball recoveries. He was one of the top players for ball recoveries in match day 1. Then we went into match day 2, again picked up a ton of ball recoveries, got himself a goal and got himself a man of the match as well. So he was very, very nice in match day 2 if anyone went for him. And I think even though they're playing against England, again, very unlikely to give a clean sheet considering England also have to win that game. I think he could be a pretty decent option for ball recoveries. And then we've got Sesko as well, obviously Slovenia's main goal threat. So looking at the possible rotations from each of the qualified teams, we are now looking at really 3 teams. Now, thanks to for our wildcards, it's not really thanks to the draw between Netherlands and France, but because of the Netherlands and France draw, it means there's going to be less likely to be rotation, or in fact probably next to no rotation, because both of them need to win in order to guarantee top spot, which leaves us with 3 teams here which could end up with some rotation. 3 expensive teams as well. Obviously, if Romania win tomorrow, they are going to be guaranteed top spot, but they don't really have any expensive players. So we're left with Germany, we're left with Spain, and could potentially be left with Portugal if they win tomorrow night. And obviously with Germany, we're going to see the lineups before the kick-off, before the deadline, which is going to be good news, which really only leaves us with Spain and Portugal to try and figure out their rotation. So I've got a couple of players who I think could potentially come in. So for Germany, it's going to be like the same as the Limitless video, and I really only think in terms of like decent options, it's going to be Füllkrug and Sané that could potentially come in. Again, Germany still need to get a result against Switzerland. They aren't guaranteed their first place. Obviously, if Switzerland win, then they will go through instead in first. So I don't think there's going to be too much rotation with Germany. I think the only thing we could really see is Havertz coming out for Füllkrug, and then one of Musiala, Gundogan and Wirtz coming out for Sané. But again, as I said, we see the lineup, so any changes to that lineup, we can always get that done before the deadline. In terms of Spain, I have got a couple of options here, again a couple of different options to what was on the Limitless video, and I'd like to thank Ben Edgar for commenting on this one, because I didn't realise that Oyarzabal was a midfielder in the fantasy football game. Now he obviously done really well in the friendlies and the build up to the Euros. I think he got 4 goals in the two games, including a hat-trick in the first match, and he has been coming on as a striker in place of Morata in the Euro games, so I think he has a really, really decent chance of starting up front for Spain in that match against Albania, and he could be really good as a 7.5 million mid. Also get Ferran Torres in there. Could be a nice differential striker if you want to go for him. Grimaldo and Navas, I think, are the two players that I think are really going to be nailed on to play in terms of trying to predict the rotation. I mentioned this in the Limitless video. The Grimaldo and Cucurella was basically a 50-50 right up until we actually got the Spain lineups, and with Cucurella starting both games, I think it's a really, really high chance Grimaldo comes in and starts in Matchday 3. Similar with Navas. Carvajal, I believe, has already been booked, so I don't think they're going to try and risk another booking for him, so I think Navas is going to be pretty nailed on to start at right back. And then we've got Raya as well. I think he will probably get a chance in goals as well over Unai Simon if you wanted to go for a 5 million goalkeeper. Now with Portugal, again, obviously we are relying on them winning tomorrow night. If they end up drawing or losing, then we really only have to worry about rotation from Spain in Matchday 3, which is really good news. But in terms of Portugal, if they win, we've got the likes of Jota, Felix, Ramos, 3 players who are listed as forwards, 3 players who could do really well. Again, they've debatably got the easiest fixture in the tournament against Georgia, and Georgia could potentially be out at that point as well, so that could end up being a really high scoring game. So going to be wanting one of those Portugal guys, whether it is Jota, Felix or Ramos. That's up to you. I think Ramos more than likely comes in for Ronaldo in that match. Then we've obviously got Felix and Jota as the potential wingers. So looking at the team that I've built then, looking at the defence, again, this is going to be very similar to the Limitless draft that I did make yesterday, but obviously there is going to be a couple of changes just to kind of show how you can kind of switch players about at the similar price points and stuff like that. So it's not going to be exactly the same. Obviously you need to work on more of a budget here as well. So we do have a very, very budget defence. No, none of these guys are over 5 million. We went for the 2-4 million goalkeepers, and again, I don't really think it's worth it to go anywhere else. Again, the likes of Raya and stuff, I don't really think they're worth the extra million. Again, as I said, I don't think there's really going to be too many clean sheets in Matchday 3. So I think just going for the double 4 million goalkeeper rotation is going to be plenty. As long as they're picking up saves, it's good enough for being able to afford more players in outfield. Looking at the defenders, again, Willy Orban, as I'd already mentioned, someone who is just going to be really good for ball recoveries. You'll notice that with a couple of these guys, Gehi, a decent clean sheet chance for England. I'll put that the graphic up for that in a minute. Then Wout Faes as well, another player who is really, really nice for ball recoveries. So we've got 3 defenders in there who are really, really decent for ball recoveries. And again, looking at those clean sheet odds, we've got Spain at 53%, England at 53%. So as I said, even though I don't think there is going to be too many clean sheets, it is always good to look at the odds and just really see who the guys more likely to keep clean sheets are going to be. So we've got Spain, England, Portugal, France are really the main 4 there. The rest are slightly a decent chunk below the other 4, so we are going to be mainly focusing on those guys if we are going to be wanting to go for high chances of clean sheets. As I mentioned, we've got Grimaldo in there. I think he has a really, really, really high chance of starting, and he's very nice for attacking potential as well. And as you've just seen, the highest in the game for clean sheet odds as well. Then obviously Mittelstadt as well. He just is the value pick this season. Getting ball recoveries, picked up an assist in Matchday 2, and get a clean sheet as well. And again, a really, really nice fixture for him. And again, if he isn't playing, if Rom ends up coming in for Germany, it's just an easy switch. We take him back out and there's no real worries about that. Looking at the midfield, and again, it's a very similar team to the Limitless team. We've got the 2 Germany midfielders. Again, they still have to win that game against Switzerland, and these guys have been very, very good, obviously. In terms of like captaincies and stuff, for Matchday 1, if you stuck on a German player, you definitely won the matchday because no one else done well in Matchday 2, 3, 4, and 5, or game day 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then it's kind of similar this week as well, with the likes of Mittelstadt picking up 10, Gundogan got 14, Musiala get 9. So I do think it is still going to be a really nice move, picking whichever German players play. And again, if Musiala gets rested, it's no big deal. We just switch him to, for example, Sané if he comes in, similar to Gundogan as well. Obviously, Jude Bellingham in there, must-win game for England. And again, playing against Slovenia, one of the easier fixtures in the tournament on paper. Would definitely be wanting to get that double England attack in there as well. Then I've got Eriksen in here. In the limitless draft, I had Szoboszlai. Can really go for whoever you want. They're both in very similar situations. Both of them take all the set pieces. Both of them are 7 mil, and both of them must win their games. So it's really up to you who you want to go for. I've just decided to put Eriksen in this draft. Then we've obviously got Oyarzabal as well. Again, as we mentioned, someone who could start up front for Spain and is listed as a midfielder, and again has one of the easier fixtures on paper in the tournament. And then rounding things off, we have our 3 strikers now. Mbappe was on the bench as an unused substitute for Matchday 2, and it was rumoured that he could have been playing, so that obviously means he is basically ready to play some matches again. So I think he is 100% going to be in that Matchday 3 squad, and again, the fact that France drew with the Netherlands means that France must go out and win against Poland, so they aren't going to use too much rotation, which means I think Mbappe is definitely going to be in the team, and again, a really, really nice game against Poland, who are already eliminated as well. So I think the 2 strikers you definitely are going to want is going to be Kane and Mbappe. Other than that, the 3rd striker option I think is where you can kind of go for a bit of a differential, really whoever you want, because Lukaku is playing against Ukraine. Again, could be a nice option if you have the budget available. This team uses the entire budget up, so we didn't have enough money to go and get Lukaku, but can really go for whoever. If you feel like someone's going to do a lot better in one of the maybe lesser teams, for example, if you think Sesko's going to do something against England, why not go for him? If you think Mitrovic is going to do well again in a must-win game against Denmark, you can go for him. I've decided to go for Diogo Jota because I think, again, Georgia is going to be one of the easier fixtures on paper. This could easily be Ramos, could easily be Felix. If you went for Ramos, then you're saving $1.5 million as well to upgrade anywhere else. If maybe you wanted to go for one of the better goalkeepers, is always an option as well. So that's who we are going for. In terms of the captaincies, we do have some nice captaincy options in there as well. Get Musiala, again, as I said, the lineups we are going to see, so if Musiala's not playing, it's an easy switch to someone else. Then if he doesn't do well against Switzerland, we have Oyarzabal. Now we've also got Grimaldo in there as well if you wanted to go for a defender. But again, as I said, Oyarzabal, someone who could potentially be starting at striker for Spain, and again getting extra points for being a midfielder. I would definitely be looking at him as a captain. Then we've got Kane, a pretty obvious one for day 3, and then Jota as well for day 4. Again, if you wanted Ramos, he would obviously be that captaincy in there. Again, similar with Felix, or even anyone else that you would want in that day. So that is the wildcard team that I've went for. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Let me know what kind of changes you'd make, and let me know if there's anyone that really stands out to you for a wildcard in Matchday 3. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like if you are new, make sure to subscribe as well, and I will see you all in the next one.